So welcome to the Theatres of Dreams. This is your Wednesday edition, and you've got the trio of the EBC. We're going to call her the ABC or the EBC of the podcast. Erin Carroll, otherwise known. Hello, Erin. How are you?
I'm great, Rod. How are you?
I'm very well, and fresh from a game at the weekend. Me and Harry met up in the flesh for probably only the second time in our lives. Harry, how are you?
I'm still reeling from that weekend. I'm not saying that meeting you in person was traumatic or anything. I think the football did more than that.
It was a bit difficult, wasn't it? Anyway,
It wasn't the greatest. I think we're going to get into it an awful lot. There's a lot to sink our teeth into anyway, for more bad than good reasons.
well, today is a Manchester Derby special because the two teams play each other this weekend. We're going to have a little look at it from both the blue side. Erin's going to give us her views on going into the Derby, and Harry will give us the red view. I will chip in a little bit on more on the red and the blue, of course. That's all I know really. And we'll work out who is more confident going into the weekend. All right, we'll start with you, Aaron, because you guys, I think you guys are a bit of the dark horse of the season because you had a bit of a lag and you're suddenly cantering back in, and it's going to be a question of whether Arsenal slip up and you can keep your form. But how's the blue half of Manchester feeling at the moment, both generally and going into the derby?
Pretty good, I think. I mean, obviously, you've come off the back of two big wins over the last couple of days. I mean, Saturday sticking, I know it's only Exeter, but sticking 10 past them.
Oh, that was a big result.
That was massive result. Stuck 10 past them. And then last night, EFL Cup, first leg of the semi-final against the holders, Newcastle. That, for some reason, obviously it was a good win, but it was overshadowed by more controversy than anything else, I think. But I think, yeah, the blue side of Manchester's feeling pretty confident going into this one. I mean, we have been accustomed to that over the last couple of seasons, haven't we? The blue side tend to be more confident than the red side. But apart from that, it's playing a waiting game with Arsenal, and they will eventually, they are showing signs of it, and they will probably inevitably slip up.
And just on last night's result, I mean, Antoine Simeone, Menu, sorry, you must have been quite impressed with his first game for City.
I absolutely adore him, and he's been here 2 games already. I mean, he made his statement on the first game he played, which was Exeter in the FA Cup, got himself a goal, and assist, and man of the match on his debut. I think that's everything that a City fan would have wanted for him. I know some rival fans will say, "Oh, he only scored against Exeter, it don't matter." But I mean, for a player to hit the ground running in a team like that so quickly is quite impressive, and then for him to do the same again just last night. I mean, obviously a lot of City fans will probably say he should have 2 goals to his name last night, but that's not the case. But he's settled in very well, and I think he'll be a player to watch this weekend because obviously he's played against you already for Bournemouth, and I'm 90% sure he did score against you just not that long ago.
Yeah, he looked very comfortable in a blue shirt, I gotta say, from the bits I saw last night, actually, didn't he?
He did. He settled in very quickly, and I mean, how many times can you say a player that comes in just a few days before that would settle in that quickly with 2 goals and an assist already, coming into a big game? And then obviously people have said, "Oh, you don't know how he's going to work in sort of a team like City," because obviously it seems to be just one man. And I don't know whether you've seen what Haaland said, but Haaland said he's coming for his golden boot.
Well, it's interesting. He's the first player to score in both of his first two appearances for City in all competitions since who, do you know?
Sergio Aguero.
No, Emmanuel Adebayor in
Oh,
2009. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
Who would have thought
Can I
that, actually?
can I can I just say on Antoine Semenyo? I don't know if you saw this, but he's been very much the key figure at Bournemouth for a number of years, and I thought one of the best sort of departures of a club I've seen in a long time. He took a full page advert out in the Bournemouth Echo, which is the equivalent of the Manchester Evening News down in Bournemouth, and he just said a big thank you to all the fans. And I feel like he's the sort of player that every single club would love to have in their ranks. You've seen him in the first 2 games. netting them in and being an instrumental force on one side and Doku be on the other side, just pace galore for Manchester City at the moment. And yeah, rather envious that he decided to sign for the blue side of Manchester. But yeah, I think he's going to be one of those players I'll be looking at with rather nervously come Saturday at 12:30 because yeah, I think he scored in the last three times Bournemouth have come up to Old Trafford, so he certainly knows how to score past Manchester United.
Well, what was the bit of controversy you mentioned there? Because I think I know, but just remind me.
So City could have gone 2-0 up from a corner, and basically there was a lot of offside. There was something to do with Haaland being offside, but the thing that everyone's annoyed about is obviously how close it was. The
It was really.
semi-automated thing was brought in to help this kind of situation, but I think the thing that everyone's annoyed about is it took nearly 6 minutes for them to decide whether or not to give the goal, and I think that's it. It's the time, it's the sting out of the game completely.
It was a long time, and actually, it was really dubious as to whether it was offside. It was so close that you would have thought you would have given the benefit of the doubt to the attacking team. But yeah, I got that. I got that. So going into this game, you are on a good run. Am I right in saying? I mean, did the blue half of Manchester feel a little bit anxious recently in terms of your little bit of a dip a couple of months ago?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the little dip is pretty. It's normal for every team to have that. Obviously, you can't. Well, we've long passed the days of when we would charge it with 100 points or so. But no, I don't think we were too concerned. I mean, obviously, we've had a little bit of a dip in form recently with 3 consecutive draws in the Premier League. So 0-0 with Sunderland, but then again, Sunderland haven't been beaten at home all season. So I think that was a semi decent performance, but just not able to find the net. The Chelsea one, you could argue we were a bit more disappointed with to concede last minute, but then again, I say that having watched the game, we were not good enough second half, and that had been coming for a long, long time. And then Brighton, that was just an incredibly frustrating game to watch, just because we don't put our chances away. And then I say that, and we go and put 10 past a team on the Saturday. But I think no one's sort of really concerned. I mean, I think it's part of football. I mean, players will get tired with the sheer amount of games that are on, and obviously with the World Cup coming in the summer, that it's going to be a tiring season. But I think no one's really concerned, and I think if there wasn't a concern, it's sort of faded out a bit now.
No, the derby was first contested in 1881 between City and United, but quite amazingly, there's only ever been 197 matches in all competitions played. That's not when you think it like 1881 is what it's 150 nearly 140 years ago plus, you know. And they've only ever played 197 matches in all competitions. And can I just say, United winning 8 of them, City 62, and 55 draws. So you have a wee bit of catching up to do there, Aaron. It's quite amazing how you would think they would have played each other more times, surely, wouldn't you?
Yeah, probably. I mean, obviously that accounts for many a different competition, whether it was still called Division One at the time or when it moved to Premier League. But then also City have had pretty bad years, and obviously, I'm going to say I wasn't alive or around to see that. I've only ever known the good things to happen over the last few years. But it does seem weird that there's only been that many. You'd have thought there'd been like 200, 300 of
Yeah,
them by
you
now. But
really would. Yeah.
obviously, approaching 200 is quite remarkable.
So you got a pretty fully fit team then coming into this game, haven't you?
Yes, we do. We have a lot of play. We do still have a few players that are out that obviously won't feature, but we have a decent set of players that are available to us. I mean, obviously the centre back is probably the main issue for us at the moment with Ruben Diaz and Josko Gvardiol out with long term injuries. Josko Gvardiol is more than likely going to miss the rest of the season now with a leg break, and Ruben Diaz has got a hamstring injury which is going to keep him out for the next few weeks. But apart from that, obviously with Semenyo coming in, you've got him, you've got Haaland, Doku, who are all fit. I mean, Nico Gonzalez missed last night with a knock, so I don't know how serious that is. Rodri's coming back from injury, so they're managing his minutes to obviously make sure they don't overload him again. But apart from that, yeah, we've got a relatively fully fit team. The only one that isn't going to feature is Omar Marmoush, having still been at AFCON and knocked out Ahmad Diallo's Ivory Coast side. So you've got him back, haven't you, this weekend?
We'll be happy to have them back. I'll be honest with you. And now, Harry, talking about United, I mean, I mean, we don't know as fans what's going on sometimes with the formations, the four at the back, the three at the back, who's going to play well. I can't imagine it's any easier for opposing management teams, but it's not like it's a good confusion. It's just I was going to swear there. Just bloody confusing, actually. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
sometimes you can be deceptive in a meaningful and deliberate way, and then you can just be we haven't got a bloody clue.
Yeah, there's been deceptive to deceive the end to deceive your opponent, but we're just being deceptive just to deceive, well, pretty much everyone associated with the football club at the moment. I
Yes.
think the only piece of positive news really is the fact that Ahmed and Mbeumo have both been knocked out of AFCON. I think there was a slight, I think there was a cheer before there was a unlucky lads because it means that they're back in full strength. Well, hopefully so. Come the derby on Saturday. But obviously, the biggest news for United is we're going to have yet another face in the Manchester United dugout. It feels as though every podcast we've talked about Frank, is he going to cut his hair? I think they're going to have five different managers before we're going to win 5 games in a row. So I don't know if it means he's going to braid his hair or dye it a different colour. I don't know what. But yeah, first test of Carrick. And yeah, it could be a baptism of fire. Quite a difficult debut for him.
Well, what have you made of the whole Carrick appointment and his back office team, if you like, his support team? Because there's people he's worked with, Jonathan Woodgate, for example, isn't it? And also I'm really quite impressed with the other guys bringing in from the England setup. I think it was.
Yeah, it was Gareth Southgate's number two. I think that is the thing that sort of doesn't excite me, but sort of calms me down the most because I think the whole talk around this decision is that it's always going to be a temporary thing. But with that, we were thinking, does that mean that we're going to have Darren Fletcher's under 18s coming up from the coaching staff, or we're going to have people from Amram? So the fact that we've got a brand new slate, I think that will be quite refreshing because we know that this isn't just going to be a lull period. We're going to try and consolidate what we've got. It's going to be, well, I hope anyway, touch wood, that it's going to drive for those European positions. And we spoke about before the Brighton game, who do we want in? And I said I think Carrick would be the better appointment over Ollie because in terms of his tactics, he's more diverse with his choice of tactics and what he plays. Ollie is very much 4-4-2, a bit like Mike Bassett sort of thing, and he's very much driven, exciting football. Whereas I think with Carrick, we saw him perform well at Middlesbrough. And yeah, I think a lot of United fans are happy as things stand. I think it's not exactly the game I think Carrick would want to have of his first game. You never know; it might go down into folklore or whatever. Because I believe Carrick is the most successful Manchester United manager there's ever been, winning 2 and drawing 1 in his brief spell back in 2021. He'll be looking to extend that, and doing it against Guardiola would be mightily impressive. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's one of those games where you either turn around and say it's the best possible game to come into because actually, the players should get a natural lift anyway. And ironically, we have been somewhat a little bit better against the big teams, if you like, than some of the more challenged teams in the Premier League. We've fallen asleep sometimes when we've been playing mid-table, low-table teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems to be when we've got our back against the wall, we seem to sort of pull something out of our back pocket. And I'm hoping that this is the case with the Manchester City game, because I know that, as Erin says, City do have some centre back issues, but I think United have got glaring issues all across the park. I think Carrick could be very thankful it's a short trip over to Manchester rather than a long trip down to the South Coast or something like that. So he's got even more time in Carrington. But yeah, I think I quite liked his comments that he said before the game. I think he's up for it. I think he's sort of saying that the players are up for it and they're just trying to get the most out of that game rather than it just being a foregone conclusion. They're willing to not only fight for the result, but also fight for their place in Carrick's system, because I think when we mentioned about the Brighton game, we said there wasn't really a new manager bounce or anything like that. It didn't feel like when you sack a manager, you normally feel as though there's a bit of energy put in that squad because they want to get into the manager's good books and they want to secure their position. I feel like, well, fingers crossed anyway, we're going to see that with Carrick's system because he knows how to manage Manchester United, did it all, albeit briefly. And also, of course, he's managed at Middlesbrough as well. So yeah, I think I'm hoping, regardless of what the scoreline is, there's a bit of bravado on the pitch, a bit like what Roy Keane says when it comes to the derby. There's some players there willing to put a graft in, put a fight in, and I think that will do an awful lot of good come the following games because we do have a difficult run of games, that's for sure.
What I like about this interim team is the fact that in Woodgate and in Holland, you got two people who are unconnected with United. There's none of this
Mm-hmm.
sort of old boys thing with them. Of course, there is with the interim manager and also bringing in Johnny Evans. But I look at it and I think Woodgate being a defender is useful. He was a
Mm-hmm.
defender, wasn't he? Because we need a lot of work in that area, and I just think, okay, it was the right At least they got this transitional team right. I think as good as
Mm-hmm.
it could be at the moment.
Yeah, it's obviously it's not. You never want to be in this position where you're forced to play your hand. And I think the hand that they've been dealt and they've now played is quite decent. I think one thing that a lot of United fans would be happy to see, I can't see it happening now, is that Carrick becomes a player manager and subs Agati off and puts himself in the middle of the park because Agati was not performing on against Brighton on Sunday. But yeah, I think there's never going to be an ideal scenario. Obviously, the ideal scenario would have been, well, as we keep saying, every single time we get a new manager, we get a decent name in who's going to build this system, going to build a Project 21 that seems to be further and further away with every passing year. I think with this interim period, it doesn't feel like a flash decision. I quite like how they did, although I know they only had two candidates, but they've taken the time and made this appointment. And I think, yeah, I just hope as well that they view it. Ineos keeps saying that they're this business now. We're not a football club. I hope they view it from a business in position where they look at his results game by game by game and don't just think if he manages, we're not going to win the Premier League, but if he managed to exceed expectations, we don't just immediately gift Carrick the full time contract. I think it'd be good to see step by step by step and see what comes our way. But yeah, I think Carrick. I think it's certainly a steady set of hands to steer the ship, albeit briefly.
It's really I think the last week or so. I don't know, Aaron. I'd be interested in your view, but what I'm picking up is there's almost less criticism of certainly none of Fletcher, for example, and it couldn't be, but a less criticism of even Eric Ten Hag compared to the likes of Barada, compared to Jason Wilcox, even compared to Jim Ratcliffe, for example. All these guys, and I think possibly rightfully, are getting a lot of heat. So the pressure is on all of those guys to get these decisions right, not just on Michael Carrick coming in as an interim, etc. The whole infrastructure of the football club is under pressure and under criticism right now.
Yeah, I'd agree with what you've just said. I mean, obviously you played Brighton. Was it Sunday
Yeah.
afternoon? Um, I was watching City Women on the Sunday, and I came back on the tram, and I did have to hide my City badge passing through Old Trafford. I timed that horrifically wrong. But the only sort of conversation I'd heard from any United fans on the tram was there's nothing towards Fletcher or anything like that. Was all directed at your higher ups, at the ownership, at Ineos and everyone else. Also, I've seen a lot as well, Rod, that Alex Ferguson's taken a bit of a battering as well this week off a couple of pundits. Gary, I don't know whether, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Roy Keane said something about him this week. And I don't know whether you saw this, Harry, but Daniel Sturridge had to hold in his laugh after what Roy Keane had said. So obviously, it was said that Alex Ferguson had had a bit of input as to who it was that was going to get the job, interim. And Roy Keane's basically come out and blasted him and said Ferguson's hanging around like a bad smell. That's one of the problems that they've got higher up. And I don't know whether you feel this way, guys, obviously as two United fans. do you think that pressure of having a manager as good as Alex Ferguson weighs on whoever comes in because it's such a big job at United?
Well, I'd say yes, because we had this when we tried to fill the boots of Sir Matt Busby way back when. We tried several different managers, and then Sir Matt Busby came back, albeit briefly. So we've seen it before. I won't go too far as say he's a smell lingering on, but as we've looked at other clubs, you look at Liverpool, look at Klopp, the way that he when he won, when he stepped away fully. Still watches the results and everything, but he keeps his distance with the club. If you look at Arsene Wenger, I know there was a lot more hostile around Wenger with the whole Wenger out movement, but when he stepped away from Arsenal, there was a big distance between himself and the club. I can completely understand Sir Alex Ferguson watching every game, but the fact he was still on the board of directors for such a long period of time, with the pressure as is to try and fill his shoes, I think that's a concern. And then when I saw reports, the fact that Fletcher felt as though he had to speak to Sir Alex and get his approval first, again, that's another concern, because we keep talking about rebuilding and having this new Phoenix club with this new ethos, but we can't step away if Sir Alex is still in that position. I still think he's the greatest manager there's ever been. But one thing that we have to see now, and we've seen at other clubs, and United have to take notes, it's almost as if we turn up to the meeting 5 minutes late every single time, but we have to politely go, thank you very much for your service. We really do appreciate it. But there's a time and a place where you've got to step back and just view it as a fan. And we've seen it with Liverpool, we've seen it with Arsenal. Look how well that they've performed since their legends have gone. United are still struggling 13 years later.
Yeah, I think that is a good point. And just when you mentioned there Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, I've just noticed that he's been linked with the draw at Madrid. With is it Xabi Alonso was fired this week? I mean, he wasn't in position long either, was he?
He wasn't, but there was talk about that quite a while ago. There's a lot of reports that came out of Madrid that his players didn't get on with him. Vinny Jr. especially is one that everyone picked up on. There was not a good relationship between the two of them, so I think maybe it's just from a player's perspective that he wasn't the right man for the job.
I can see Klopp going in there, no problem whatsoever. And if you were Jurgen Klopp, it's the club you would want after Liverpool, isn't it?
Yeah. Like it's one of the biggest jobs in the world, isn't it? The Real Madrid job. Every player wants to go there. If you were managing, you'd be linked with that, and you'd be mad not to take it.
So let's get back to the derby, right? So you two are more Manc than I am, right? Because I am an outsider. But sometimes I've always felt that the Manchester derby isn't as big for United as, say, playing Liverpool at times, right? But do you think recently it's reclaimed itself and that is up there with the biggest derbies in the world?
Ooh. Recently, I'm probably going to say no. Not maybe
That's
back.
because we've been poor.
Well, yes. I was trying to sugarcoat it and be nice there, Rod, but yes, you've come out and said it, yes, because you've been so poor. It's not like some of the scorelines you've seen in recent years. It's not like a derby. It's just like playing any other team, really. Like six goals putting past you for the last couple of years. We beat you 3-0 in early in the season at the Etihad. I mean, obviously, yes, Old Trafford is a tougher place to go, but I think given what it was like 10, 15 years ago, it was massive. The derby, it was the game every Mancunian looked forward to, whether you're on the red or the blue side. But you have got that massive rivalry with Liverpool, and I'd say probably arguably now that's bigger. But for City fans, we class it as a massive big deal for us.
I think Harry, from a red point of view, because City are so much better, it is a big game for us, isn't it?
Well, if I'm honest, I think if you look at results, you could argue it's sort of diminished in value since we've started to perform worse and City have started to improve more. But for me, I've always thought that the Liverpool game is bigger, and arguably if you're talking historical derbies, I always think the Leeds game is a bigger game just because of historic rivalries. But if you're talking about a derby, it's up there as one of the biggest if you're talking around the city, because just that infamous Carlos Tevez poster. That just showed the sort of animosity towards all the fans.
Yes.
I think it's always a big game. I think like we had two FA Cup finals back to back as Manchester derbies. They were huge games, and of course, I'm going to view the second one in a lot more favourably than the first one because we won it. But yeah, it's one of those ones where whenever, regardless of what your opinions are of what the biggest derby is or whatever, if your local rivals come a knocking and you're at home, you're expected to perform in those big games. It is a big game at the end of the day. You might argue that a more exciting game would be City Arsenal this year or City Liverpool, whatever. There is a lot of pressure on that game. It's a lot of pressures for both teams to perform well. And as I said with Carrick, if he gets even a draw at that game, or you can actually see a fight and a bit of something to bite, to get your teeth sunk into, rather than, I think it was a derby a couple of years ago where City just absolutely walked all over us, and it felt like we weren't even fielding a team of 11 men. If we can have anything other than that, I think we can be pretty pleased with it. But yeah, I think if you ask me, say at 3 o'clock on Saturday, and we've got 3 points, I'll say it's the biggest game the world's ever seen. But it's one of those. But yeah, I think it might have changed slightly, but when it comes to that 90 minutes worth of football, it is the most important game in any Mancunian's life, I can imagine.
It's interesting. I've just asked. I just did a search on the biggest derbies in the world, and there's an article from 442 came up, and actually, the Manchester Derby doesn't rank in the top 40 biggest derbies in the world at all. The one that features Manchester United is with Liverpool. Actually, it was interesting, and within the EPL, that is seen as the biggest derby, and then after that it is Southampton, Portsmouth, not really anymore, and then you've got the likes of Celtic and Rangers. I wonder whether, is the definition of a derby where you're playing your city rival, or does regional rivalry actually matter? Because Newcastle United, Sunderland's the big derby in the northeast, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like you could say that with your guys' rivalry with Leeds. That's another one. It's sort of like a cross-regional one, isn't it? Really. So it's just a matter of whether you classify that.
I would say historically yes, because it's county versus county. It's we
Yeah.
pinched their greatest player in Eric Cantona, and he became a legend for us. There's all this sort of stuff to go with it. But because there's this big debate on the moment, because there's I think Copper 90 are going to all the biggest derbies, and they're only strictly doing it via cities. I think arguably, especially now in the Premier League, those sort of like localized derbies do sort of diminish in value. It's more of like the regional ones. But look, at the end of the day, it's still two of the biggest teams in the country battling it out for 90 minutes. If you get a ticket, or if you can afford the £2.5 that United are charging for a seat for what tickets are left, then I think you're going to say it's the biggest game you've been to just to justify that price tag.
See what I like about when you're coming up to Derby weekend is you can play the bands that represent the red side, the bands that represent the blue side, and then you can have a sort of like musical derby and work out who
Hmm.
has the best bands. Now, if in that
Ooh.
context, now who are the Oasis bands? Or not Oasis bands, sorry, the City bands. Obviously, you got Oasis. Who else do you have in your corner as bands, Aaron?
Oh, I don't know in terms of City because there's a few, but Oasis is obviously the massive one. Blossoms, I think from Stockport, they've got a couple. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100%. I
You've
can't
got
be 100% sure on that.
you've got the Blossoms, which is the
Yes. Yeah.
most recent ones. They always seem to be doing partnerships with the club.
This
Um,
the Smiths is another one. Johnny Marr was a City fan.
See,
I can
see
let him
who
off because he's a great guitarist, but that's poor from old Johnny.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so I mean, in the red corner, we can claim Stone Roses.
Yeah.
We can claim the Happy Mondays.
Mm.
We can claim a part of Radiohead. We can claim the rapper H.
Yeah, you
Uh,
can.
and we can get actually Simply Red and Duran Duran in there as well if we really
There's,
wanted to.
there's a couple more
Get New
on
Order in as well.
there's a couple
Get
more
the
on the
order.
blue side. There's a couple more on the blue side. So there was a
Oh,
Joy
well, there is,
Division.
there is, there is, there
Joy
is.
Division's Ian Curtis was a City fan before he died. So we've got a little bit there.
Yes, and
Hmm.
that's a notable one. So what I think should happen really is that uh, if after the game it comes to a draw or you win, what they should then do is play tracks by each of the bands and see who gets the biggest cheer on the day. I think that's the only way you got to work it out.
It's Old Trafford though, so it'd be the Stone Roses all day in that situation, wouldn't it?
You know what always really disappoints me is Johnny Marr is a City fan. That always disappoints me. Always does. I think
I,
it's,
I, I,
yeah.
I could understand if Morrissey is because he comes out with some controversial things, but Johnny Mark, I think that's the most controversial thing that he could possibly say. He's a City fan.
You see, and whereas Bernard Sumner and Peter Hook are big United fans, and they wrote World in Motion. Maybe what they should be doing is write a song called United in Remotion.
Yeah, I think we should do it as a charity single, and then we can generate some more funds. We can actually spend in the transfer market for once.
it's like it's like it's like when you look at the celebrities that support either side of the club. There's some cracking ones on there. That
Oh,
look good.
I can hear we're waiting for Carrick. Carrick's Manchester. We're waiting for Carrick. Arrivederci, he's from the north, or something like that, you know?
Do you know that's not a bad shout? And
Oh,
do you know with Carrick? Can I just add something on that? With Carrick coming in, that'll be the sixth Manchester United manager Pep Guardiola has been up on the touchline with in the
Yeah,
derby in his 10-year stint with the club.
yeah. Well, it's 10 managers, isn't it, since Fergie left, something like that.
can I
And
can I just ask in terms of managers? I've just noticed this, and there's been rumours about it for a while. But if you look at the team that Pep put out against Exeter City, that
Mhm.
was very, very full strength. The fact that Haaland started against Exeter, I
And
think that
didn't get a
raises a
goal.
few eyebrows as is. Didn't get a goal, but he still started it in full strength. Up first leg in the Carabao Cup, the competition that not many people care about. Again, he went pretty full strength. Does that, as a City fan, does that sort of give you concerns? The fact that maybe he thinks that this could be his last year in the dugout and he's trying to win it all in his last season to go out with a bow, or do you think it's just him wanting to just carry on his legacy and win as many trophies as possible to catch up with Sir Alex?
I think it's both a mix of both. I mean, obviously, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was his last year to go, just because obviously this 2026 is his 10th year at the club. He's won everything,
Mm-hmm.
probably if not multiple times. But I think yeah, part of it probably is he does want to go out on a high note, and you'd always want to do that, especially the type of manager he is. But I think he does want to win just everything that he can. He's a serial winner, isn't he? He's not going to take
Mm-hmm.
nothing for an answer. But even though, yeah, it was a bit strange to field a full strength team against Exeter, I will admit that. But what I liked about that was that he gives the academy kids a chance. How many academy kids from City have come up to his team that played on Saturday? Makaido, he scored a good goal. And I'll give him his credit. That might have been celebration of the weekend. He ran straight over to his dad in the stands, who was at the bottom corner waiting. Max Aline as well, who's just come back from Watford, had never made a senior appearance for the club, come back from Watford, got straight into the team, scored his first goal, and he's been incredible. He's looking really good. But I don't think it's trying to catch up with Sir Alex. I think he's just a serial winner, and he'll want as much as he can before he leaves. See, it probably more or less is his last year at the club. That's the way I'm looking at it.
And the last thought as
it's
well on that, we've mentioned about the vacancy in Madrid. Do you think he would be tempted by that gig, or do you think he would just want a bit of a rest in Catalonia?
No, I don't think he'll go anywhere near it. He's Barca till he dies, isn't he, Pep? He played there as a player, he's there as a manager. I don't think he'd touch the Madrid job.
no, I can't see it. I actually think Klopp would be a shout, actually.
Mm.
I think Klopp would be. I think Klopp would want it as well, and I think he's got the profile and the ego and the characteristics to take that on. And I think when you go from Liverpool, there's not that many jobs that you would actually take that would be a step up, you know.
exactly.
and that one definitely is. So I think that's got Jurgen Klopp's name all over it. And I also always think, right, this is the maybe I'm just completely flowery on this, but when I think about Madrid and the way they play football, I actually think they're very like Liverpool. They're quite mechanistic and they're quite formulaic, if you like. Whereas when I don't want to say United and their pomp were like Barcelona, but Barcelona play with a more free style. I've always felt anyway. I'm probably talking complete rubbish, but I've always felt that I think Klopp's probably nailed on to go to Madrid actually, and he's probably got the right personality for it as well. So there you go. So 12:30 kickoff this Saturday. United versus City in the derby. Do you know? It's painful at times. The only thing, it's almost now like we need a different manager every week to have a different song to sing. But well, how do you think he's going to line up, Harry? Do you think he's going to go 3-5-2-1? Do you think he's going to go four? What do you think is going to be in his mind tactically?
I can't see all too much changing because there's not a lot of wriggle room in terms of the players that we've got available. Of course, Shea Lacey's going to be out after receiving a red card in the FA Cup, so that will transfer over to the Premier
Yeah,
League. So he'll
yeah,
be in absence. He looked great against Brighton, and it's a sort of player you'd want to come off the bench against City just to sort of have that sort of attacking threat. I can't really see all too much change. I think I would quite like to see Harry Maguire start just because the defensive line at the weekend was awful. It just felt like a gust of wind would knock them over. And if I'd also quite like to see if they're able to get back in time is to see Diallo and Mbumo come back in and keep that right hand side because I know Amram had his system which didn't really work, but that one aspect of it seemed to be the one saving grace of his team. So if we can get them back in for the derby, that'd be terrific. But yeah, as I said, with this rebuild under Carrick or this temporary Carrick tenureship, I still think it's going to be a slow but long process. So yeah, as long as we can just weather the storm somehow and just get Harry Maguire to basically header every long ball and just keep Erling Haaland quiet, which is going to be difficult. I think that's all that Carrick will be asking for.
There's a nice piece of analysis in The Athletic, and it says that if you look at Carrick's formations used at Middlesbrough across his, nearly 140 games, he played 4-2-3-1 120 times. That was his preferred structure, if you like. And that's not unfamiliar to us at the moment. 4-4-2 was 7 times, and then he played other combinations like 3 or 4 times, basically. So he
Yeah.
likes four at the back mostly. And that suits us at the moment. I'm not saying that we are just a four in the back club, but it does suit us. Although it does leave our centre backs more exposed if you don't have a sort of defensive covering midfielder, and that's something that we
Yeah.
found recently.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because I saw that it popped up the headline or the announcement that Conor Gallagher has just moved to Tottenham Hotspur on a move from Madrid. I don't know why I'm obsessed with Madrid at the moment. I seem to mention him in this podcast, but he's moved for just 35 million quid, which is absolute
Really?
pennies when you think about current transfer fees. And he's the sort of player that Manchester United fans and the club have been desperate for years. That sort of defensive midfielder who can go box to box. He's got that international experience, who knows how to play in the Premier League. Of course, he had a major stint at Chelsea and was instrumental in Diego Simeone's system out in Madrid. And we've again let another decent signing slip through our fingers and go to Tottenham because Agate, it's just every single week. I don't know how he keeps getting in that team, but sometimes there's a part of me thinks that, oh, he'll prove it this time. He'll prove it in this game. And I feel like when I was in the stands on there on Sunday, every time he touched the ball, I was like, don't give away a foul. Don't give away a foul. Because that just feels as though all he's going to do. So I think that is, we talked about the defensive line being their issues, but I feel like that's, if Guardiola, he's going to know where our weak points are. And he's going to say, just run at Agati, make him to force a mistake, force him to get a yellow card, and then it's just going to well, hopefully the floodgates aren't going to open. But yeah, for me, I just doubly disappointed the fact that um, I think it's probably because we've had the distraction with the managerial change. But a defence, all the last two windows, all United fans have been asking for is a striker. We got that with Sesko. He did score a goal, so I can't see him getting dropped, but he's not banging them in like we thought he would. But we also asked for a defensive midfielder, and Conor Gallagher is one of those who can play that role. And we've let him go for what seems to be nothing to Tottenham Hotspur. And if he's desperate enough to go there, I think he would have been desperate enough to come to United.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the weekend in the FA Cup, you got to give it up for Wrexham. That was an unbelievable scoreline against Forest, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I
I
saw
think
the game and it was. Go on, Erin, you take it away because there was so much to cover there.
Yeah, it was. I mean, for I think the funniest bit out of that one was the way Sean Dyche absolutely battered his players in that press conference afterwards. If you saw his interview, he asked about the journalist asked about the players and the team select. He went, "Well, they're all banging on my door asking why they're not playing, and I think that's just about showing why they're not playing." So I think that was the best thing. But kudos to Wrexham; they deserve what they got out of that, and obviously for Forest to do that was pretty poor.
Yeah, and you think how many seasons ago Wrexham were playing in the same league as Ulte is quite amazing, isn't it? 3 seasons ago?
But yeah, about that. But I think when you have the sheer amount of money pumped in that Wrexham have, it's inevitable that that was going to happen.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
just surprised at how quick it happened.
yeah, no, I agree. It's happened really quick. But you know what? It's the sort of result the FA Cup needs, isn't it?
Yeah, it is 100%, and in a way I'm happy. In a way I'm a little bit bitter, obviously, because they went up very quickly just a few seasons ago. They were playing us, but kudos to Wrexham. They deserved everything they got, and Forest are in shambles at the moment.
Yeah, they are. Can I ask, did you see the controversy around Szoboszlai's back heel? Did you
Yes,
read about this?
that I don't know how you pronounce the Barnsley manager's name, but he wasn't happy about it, was he?
No, but did you think it was that disrespectful? Because a lot of the commentators said it was disrespectful. I didn't think it particularly was, actually.
I don't think it's disrespectful. I think he's not. He doesn't normally do it though, does he? So I think everyone was kind of a bit. He thinks it's a lower league team. He thinks he can just do what he likes about it. But I don't think it is. I mean, how many times do you see players trying that in any sort of game? It's
Yeah,
part of it.
yeah. No,
I tell you what,
I
I
agree.
I think he'd be forgiven with the screamer that he scored half an hour beforehand. I think many Liverpool fans would be all right with it. And I think as well with those things as well, it's just regardless of what opposition comes against you, be it the level where Barnsley are, or if it's top of the Premier League, if you have a style of football that you play, you will play it. So yeah, I don't think it's quite too controversial, so to speak. I think, as we said, the VAR up at St James's Park, I think that was far more controversial. And the other thing that I just want to say on the VAR point very quickly is the BBC put out recently how many errors there've been in VAR this season alone, and shown how many times clubs have lost compared to gained with these VAR decisions. And it's just eye-watering stats that this system, which is meant to streamline and make crystal clear what's a foul and what's not a foul, it just seems to be so much grey area. It'd be interesting to see how many minutes of football we've lost due to these prolonged VAR checks, and we saw that at St James's Park, which felt to go on for an eternity last night.
Oh, don't even nightmare.
We mentioned last week that we said that the Wrexham Forest game would be tidy, didn't we? We said that
We
it
did.
would be one to watch for. So I got to just mention that's where we were last night. Yeah, I didn't like the Semenyo goal being ruled offside in that game. I thought it was just far too forensic, and you got to give some benefit of the doubt to the attacker, and it was so fine, and it really got me. And you know, the story of the week that I've seen that I wanted to get your view on was in the women's football, and it was the person they wearing the earring that cost her ability to get on
Oh
the
yeah,
pitch. Did you read about this?
I saw the clip. So she's got an earring piercing here, I think it is, and it's like pretty much impossible to take out. and obviously it doesn't get picked up in like other leagues. But obviously in this country you can't do that. She was told to take it out, couldn't get it out, so she couldn't make a
Yes.
debut.
And yeah, can you imagine? And then they couldn't put a plaster or something over. The person is Estelle Cascarino, and she plays for West Ham.
Hmm.
And it
Yeah.
was her new boss, Rita Guarino, who was taking charge of her first game on Sunday, attempted to bring on the Juventus loanee
Yep.
at the start of the second half, with her side trailing 4-0 to Chelsea. But the 28-year-old defender was denied permission to enter the action because she was wearing an earring that had been covered by tape but could not be taken out. So,
Yeah, because the rule states you can't have them taped over. They have to come out. I have to tell the kids on a weekend when I'm refereeing them they've got to come out. You can't tape them over. Get them out.
that's one of those pub questions, pub quiz questions, isn't it?
If I may, Rod, I just because it's there for the taking. I feel like she got a right earful from a manager after that.
Oh my!
Boom, boom. Harry Morell's available all week for your I was going to say your Christmas is not your Christmas
For January
pantomime show.
entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else catch your eye this week in the world of football before we wrap up?
There's just one from me, and it's another one from women's football. So Manchester City played Everton on Sunday, still extending their 6-point lead. However, there was rumours of a City signing that was coming, so they were linked with American midfielder Sam Coffey, who has been confirmed this afternoon. I'm very happy about it. A great signing for us. They tried to keep her hidden at the Joy Stadium because she was watching the game, and someone actually confirmed that she was there to the whole of the internet by taking a selfie with her and posting it on Twitter. So the whole of the internet, they tried to keep her so hidden in this one little corner with the director of football. And kudos to the guy that had taken the picture. It was really quite funny because I saw him take the photo. I saw him at the top because she was only a few rows down, and the director of football's back was turned and was talking to someone else. So
I
he
mean,
managed to sneak it.
you guys are running away with the WSL, aren't you? After 12 games, you've won 11, you've lost one. You haven't lost in the last six games. You've got 33 points with Chelsea. It's second with 27 points. It's an interesting. Liverpool are in the relegation bottom point. They've not won a game in the WSL. They've drawn four, lost eight, which is quite incredible, actually, isn't it?
It's not good, but it's the ex City manager that's got them in Gareth Taylor. He was sacked at City in March and then took the Liverpool job, but it's not working out for him. But I wouldn't call us runaways just yet. We still got to play Arsenal and Chelsea again in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So I'm
well,
a bit like,
there's 10 games left. I think, is that right, saying there's 10 games left?
yes, there is.
Yeah, 10 games left in the competition, but you're looking pretty good. Do you know what it goes to show though? If you look at you crossed yourself. When you go to the show, I would love to see a stat that says when did a club properly invest in women's football, and what was the development period? So if you look at Liverpool, for example, are they a team that were one of the last develop investors and believers in it, or did they go quite early?
No, Liverpool did it quite early. They have a quite an established history in the league. I think they won it back to back under manager Matt Beard when he was in charge. But obviously, I think with them being in the relegation zone now, yes, they haven't had the investment that they should have done over the last few years. It's significantly dropped off. They suffered a few relegations over the last few years into the Championship and brought themselves back up. But I think the reason for them in the relegation place isn't, well, yes, it's lack of investment, but I think those players have had a lot to contend with over the last few months. I mean, they've just lost their ex-manager in Matt Beard, who died a few months ago. They've lost the kit man as well. He died a couple of months ago. So it's more loss than anyone should have to imagine. I mean, especially with so close between the two. But I think Liverpool as a whole football club have suffered immensely all year with
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
happened there. But the investment side, I think Chelsea have had a lot of investment. City have a lot of investment. United did, but then it seems to have dropped off, and obviously they're criticising the higher ups again to say that nothing's really, you're not bringing in anyone, but you have brought in some big names in January.
It's just going back then to the Premier League. I don't think people are probably talking about Villa quite enough and the job that Unai Emery's doing there because sitting where they are pretty much equal with City. I mean that's it. 21 games, 13 won, four drawn, four lost. It's exactly the same as City, apart from City got a better goal difference. You got to hand it to him because he's definitely improved that team, hasn't he?
He's completely revolutionised him. I think. I think he's done a brilliant job, and I mean, obviously, he did a good job while he was at Arsenal, and then he's done a good job at numerous clubs. But I think to do that with a team like Villa, who probably weren't as good a few years ago as to when he came in, he took them. Am I right in saying he took them from near relegation to Europe? Or
Right.
I feel like I'm completely wrong there, but I think he might have done. He
Can't
brought them back
remember.
up into European places, but to do that this season, to be pretty much up there with the title challengers, he's done a very good job.
Right.
Well, they had the worst start to the season. I was going to say with I've just realized remembered what it was. It was they had the worst start to the season because they hadn't scored in the first 6 games, and they were right in the relegation zone this season, and then they've just been banging them in for fun since. So yeah, it's if they do manage to pull off the impossible, it will certainly make a fantastic story going from rock bottom to well potentially the top of the Premier League would be possibly challenging the Leicester City story, but we'll have to wait and see if they can actually manage it in the end.
Yeah, we will indeed. And just to finish off the world of football, this weekend coming up, who have Volty got, guys?
We have got
I
Hartlepool at
know
half past
Hartlepool
12.
United away, 12:30 kickoff.
Mm.
It's all to play for really at the moment, isn't it, in the season?
It is. I mean, with the fixtures we've got, I'm going to say this, and I don't get me wrong. I believe in him 100%. I don't know where those points are coming from this month. I really, really don't. Just you look at it on paper, it's a dreadful run of fixtures to have, especially while struggling already as it is. But yeah, hopefully, just hopefully, maybe there might be something in the locker for Saturday. Because I mean, we've had a few new players come in, and maybe one of them might stun us all with something incredible.
Hopefully, maybe, baby. There's a song in that. Anyway, we'll end it there. Just to say though, when myself and Mr. Harry Morel, we had our part team away day. You weren't there, Erin, but we'll have to do it with you. We bumped into a very nice guy called Seamus, who's from Galway, now living in Spinningfields. Was going to the match himself as a Red. So, Seamus, lovely to meet you. If you ever want to come on Theatres of Dreams with us, then let us know. Get in contact with us, and we would love to have you on the show. So Seamus is a Red. Galway is red, apparently, Erin. So there you go.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. Well, look, it's been lovely to see you. I don't know if I'm looking. I can't say I'm looking forward to the derby. I'm not sure. I'll be looking forward to doing this time next week. But ooh.
You will
Should
be
we
if
do
you've
a
won.
bet? Like, should we bet whoever loses has to buy the others a drink at our? I keep on thinking about Christmas, but that's like 12 months away. Um, um, right. The next time we meet up at Alti, whoever loses the derby has to buy the other one a drink.
Okay.
And so
Hang
if
on.
United win, or if United lose, me and Harry have to buy you half a pint each. And if
That'll do.
if we win, you have to buy us a pint each.
Sound. Deal. Deal. Done.
Right. Well, but we'll go to Weatherspoon, shall we? And
Yes.
we'll go to the Weatherspoon's crazy half hour. Right. Well, look, that's been the Theatre of Dreams podcast. You've been listening to Erin Bo Carroll, to Harry Morell. I'm Rod Maxwell. We will be back next week. Some of us, maybe only one of us, maybe two of us, will be smiling. Who knows? Until then, guys, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Cheers.